Okay, welcome to Trust Factor. He's Tim
Yeah.
Hooper. I'm Mike Andolfo, and we're here to help you discover the winning formula for your business. High touch plus high tech multiplied by high trust. And today we're going to be talking about the high tech aspect of all this and how it plays with high trust. In the next episode, we'll kind of get into the high touch systems and how that plays with the high trust model. And I'm really excited because I'm going to learn a lot today. And I had a lot of my friends, Tim, that just got back from our national convention. I'm not going to mention who the company is, but they made some super huge tech announcements. And we're seeing this all over the place. I mean, so the tech announcements they had were just some AI tools on voice cloning, and which is going to help them set up call automations that's going to sound like it's in their voice. They can even like record a podcast. They could do this, basically put the script in and clone their voice and have the podcast created. All kinds of things like that. When I spoke in Louisville, I gave and by the way, that is the correct way to say it. You have got to pretend like you're slurring with a whole bunch of bourbon. That's Louisville. I gave the example of the company in Portugal that sold $100 million worth of real estate with an AI bot. Those things are all popping up. We talk about one of the major financial institutions that had a whole lot of Super Bowl commercials and the way that they're causing and solving a problem with just to kind of get you on the platform for ease. So you're my go-to tech guy. So let's talk about the good, the bad.
Man. That is scary.
Let's get into it. The good, the bad, the ugly of tech.
Yeah.
So
what's good, Tim? Yeah, man. Right when you talk about like voice cloning, and we've all seen the apps where you can upload your headshot and punch in your script, and it'll manipulate your mouth. Of course, coming from a very financially savvy and a lot of the lockdown that happens, especially around like the mortgage and the title space. I think we see, the compliance piece being such a big deal. Obviously, I mean, these, and I think real estate practitioners, you have to look at your business like you're the owner of your business. You need to think through, like Stephen Covey said, begin with the end in mind. Think through the risk factors that can come. I'm not saying don't take action because, there's like risk involved. I'm not risk adverse, but be mindful of, I think, the golden rule, right? Do to others as you'd have them do to you. Like, for instance, I'll give a couple of examples. Like, if you've not looked at like a Plod recorder or some like notes taker application, I just taught a bunch of agents how to take a Plod recorder. And don't use it for everything. So I'm going to give you an example because I think tech, you just think about high tech multiplied by trust. Can you multiply what you're doing in tech by trust? Is it trustworthy? So if you think about it this way, if right now had a recorder on going and like Mike, you and I are sitting across the table from each other and you start talking about, a family situation and I never disclose I'm recording this conversation because, man, I just want to follow up with Mike, man. I just want to, I want to do a better job. So I'm using like tech, AI, note taking to like record my conversation with a prospect. And you've opened up very, very deeply about stuff to me and I never disclosed it. Would I want that done to me? Right now, you think, well, I'm just going to disclose it. But I want to record every meeting. So then you're just like, hey, can I record? Can I have my note taker app? Boom, hit it. Well, this is my first time I meet with Mike. Guess what? Mike just put a wall up. He's like not going to open up vulnerably about certain things that I really want. Again, that 30 seconds. I think we're going to have to brand this because 30 seconds of like, how do you create massive trust in 30 seconds? And we talked about our first initial dinner and how that happened. So we'll talk about it in another podcast, but a wall will go up, right? So I think with when it comes to tech, I see a lot of people have an all or nothing mindset. They're either all in or they're like, I don't do it. I don't do AI. I don't do this. I don't do video. So it's either all or nothing. So I don't think it's all or nothing. I think it's both and. So I take agents through a training on using the Plod where there are moments in your sales process that you've already, like when it's that first interaction, that meeting, be all in, be totally almost tech adverse in that first interaction because you're asking questions and you're dialed into their mouth. You are watching their mouth, their every articulation, their heart. You're watching for tone change. You're watching everything and you're all in. And then when you leave, Now use tech to dump all of that into tech to build out your notes and your follow-up and all that. Going forward, though, talk about a listing appointment. Okay, you go on a listing appointment, and imagine if I came to you now, Mike. You and I have already talked. We've already established trust, and now I'm at your house, your gorgeous, beautiful home, and I say something like this. Hey, Mike, let me see if I can pull this out. I put it in my pocket just for this.
I was trying to find my plug.
Yeah, I'm like, hang on, I can pull out of my pocket. I'm like, all right, here we go. So, hey, Mike. So, my team and I, okay, it's always my team and I, but my team and I are really tech forward. And when we market a home, we go for top dollar for you. We want to make sure every immaculate detail of your home is captured. So if it's okay with you, I'm going to turn on my note taker as we walk through your home. And you tell me every little detail. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. I'm going to take measurement. I'm going to do all this stuff, and it'll all be captured here so we can market and do all that. Would you be okay with that? And Mike's, who's going to say no? Mike's going to say, absolutely. Boom. Now, he's bought in. He's like, I'm going to share every little detail because you're capturing it all, as opposed to, and I had our agent down in Virginia Beach, Mike, tell me, she said when she started using it, it was interesting to her how much more they opened up, because before, if you're taking notes, they're stopping because they don't want to overwhelm you. And they're just, she said, now they're telling all these little intricate details, and like they're thinking of things now to get, because they know they're not overwhelmed. So you have now partnered in tech with your customer, high trust. Now you put that transcript right into Chat GPT or Gemini or whatever platform you use, Copilot, whatever, and you rename it 123 Main Street, and everything starts there. You go back for your listing description, you go back for your Facebook post, you go back for everything there, and you can, because you started. So that's where I see high tech. Now, what if you use a voice clone and you start a relationship, high tech, and then they start talking to you, and somehow they're like, man, there's just something, or they just find, or they find out, like, here's my thing. I'm not saying I'm against it. It's just all new coming out. I'm not saying I'm against it, but I would say just really, really be careful. Pump your brakes a little bit. You have one shot at generating high trust in that initial interaction. Why would you sacrifice that to tech? And so I just be very, very mindful when it comes to tech. There's a time and a place, and high tech, but you have to, can I multiply this by high trust? And I think that can help guide you. But high tech, man, that's the plod. Tell me about your experience with it, because you were looking for yours. But
well, I mean, that's the thing. I've got one, and I don't really use it as much. Now, most of the time though, I've gotten to the point where I'm doing a lot of my meetings using Google Meet, and I've got the automatic note taker. I've got, I use Loom. I'm a huge Loom fan. I use that instead of using BombBomb, but it's also got some other benefits to it. And one of the things that Loom has a note taker as well when it comes in. So my video calls are usually being recorded, and of course people know it's there and whatever else. The other device that I was using, or service I was using, was a service called Link, LINQ. And they also have the ability for us to have a phone number. If you're in real estate, by the way, and you don't have one of these things that give you a second phone number for you to have your business, you're missing out on an opportunity, I think, where tech can actually help you enforce boundaries, right? So the idea that we are 24/7, well, number one, that is one of the advantages of the tech. Like, I think if you've got a bot set up or whatever else, or an AI agent, it is 24/7. It does not sleep. It has perfect recall. You're going to get instant responses, and there's no emotional baggage, right? I mean, and we say that, but it's a thing. Like, it's a real thing. Humans have human emotions, and sometimes they bring that to the wrong thing, right?
Yep.
And so those are, to me, like, from an efficiency standpoint, always on, always reliable, always available, no emotional baggage. That's the beauty of that. But I agree with you when saying, like, understanding the power of using the note takers and what that can do with you. And Link has one of those built in. So what the Link will do, it will record my call, but it puts a summary of it in the same place where text would appear for me and whoever I'm texting back and forth. So I would be able to see, here's the notes from our last phone conversation, here's the text message, and it really just kind of helps keep it all organized. And it's very useful for me as someone who likes to go deep with someone, for me to recall, oh, last time Tim and I, were talking about his kids and this happened and whatever else, and now I can bring that back to the conversation. Like, hey, How did it go with this? You were passionate about talking to your wife's breast cancer, and maybe she, had another book release. Actually, didn't she just have a book release?
She's about to, yeah.
Yeah,
She's
she's about
working
to.
on the republish, yeah.
And so we would ask that, like, how's the book going for your wife? And those little touches and a long way go a long way from building trust.
Oh, they do.
I mean, it's huge, and
Right.
and it's all about systemizing it from that standpoint. So
Yep. And I think to the point of like note takers, I think the one thing about high tech. So when we're talking about the good, bad, and ugly, I think the bad is I see a lot of people just invite their note taker now to Zoom and then they're multitasking. So it's like, it's almost giving people the allowance to not effectively listen themselves. And then my thing is, well, that note taker can go summarize the call. There are absolute moments of inflection and emotion that you will miss even in a summer. And here's the other thing. If you're relying so much on that, all we've done is we've put more to do on our plate. We've actually, I think tech can actually mirror or show us how bad of tech habits we have. So what I mean by that is you invite your note taker, get all this stuff. Oh, I'll just review it later. Well, how's that working out for you? You have like all these hours worth of notes and transcripts that you've not even reviewed. So like, did you really learn? Right? Did you really learn? So I think the over-reliance on tech of it, my note taker's there, I'm going to multitask. Did you multitask, get work done? Yes. But did you actually learn? Did you show up? Like, for instance, I'm a coach. And so, while I'm coaching through a process, the people who really lean in and go into their, CRM and like build out this touch process, whereas that person who jumped on the call, took a note taker, didn't do the work while we're together. They were multitasking because they were busy or whatever. And we all in this situation, we know this. We know when we're like not paying attention. Well, then you probably didn't execute as well as the person who was. So I think there's a good, bad, and ugly. And so the good of tech is use tech in your system where it matters, where you can now be fully present with that human. But the other thing is, if you notice, we disclosed it to Mike, and we use tech as a selling point. Like, I'm going to capture every detail of your immaculate home so we can get top dollar. So you're using tech to generate trust, competency plus consistency. You're the person of character, and your character, by the way, disclosed it. The other thing about tech, I think the ugly that's coming is tech will absolutely, for the capitalists that are out there that don't really want to engage in the relationship of real estate, it will absolutely be a tool to commoditize what you and I do. And so, and I don't mean that in a bad way, like capitalism's wrong. I just mean, you know what, if I could hire a couple of people to run a bunch of bots, to make a bunch of calls, to make a bunch of real estate happen, that's who you're competing with. So to understand the ugly of tech, the other side of it too, with AI and voice clones and like Synthesia and Sora and some of these like video face manipulation applications, I think the regulation hasn't even caught up. So I think the agents who invest a lot of their time and workflow right now, they're going to get stung when regulation finally catches up, when you have like the Screen Actors Guild and you have other attorney generals taking action against some of the face manipulating AIs. Be very, very careful what you lean into and base your business on. Like, I can sit at the beach and like my clone is running my business for me.
It's interesting. I had that conversation this week with some other people. It's like, how is it going to be impacted by licensing law? Right? Does your licensing law cover your cloned AI voice? If, for example, in the real estate industry, like someone could have a piece of paper with all the details, but if they're not licensed, then they're not allowed to even tell you what the asking price is. Like, even though it's public information that someone could go look on the internet. So now, if you put this in place, how does licensing law work with that stuff? I think we're going to have a lot of things that play out with that are going to be super, super interesting. I will say this though, too. One of the other benefits, one of the good things, and I think you may have been the person who pointed this out to me, so I don't want to steal your thunder too much, but the
stealing it, man.
AI,
you are the thunder, Mike.
When it comes to AI, the one thing that I think is going to be very interesting is, because prompt writing is so important, that people might learn how to communicate with more clarity than ever before, because of how they've got to communicate with whatever AI large language model that they're using. I mean, I think is that something you talk about a lot?
I do.
Yeah.
Because one of the things I hear with AI is, oh, it's gonna destroy the ability to communicate. Okay. And I'll tell you this. So my wife and I, we've homeschooled our kids, and it's allowed us to have a very, flexible lifestyle, and they travel with me for business trips and work and stuff. But we did a school based out of Nashville, which was amazing for many, many years, but it put a lot of the onus on us as the parents. So we had a lot of the, we would grade stuff, and then we'd send it to the school, the umbrella, and then the teachers would grade it and then send report cards back. And so you might have a month disconnect between like taking the test and getting a report card. So we'd sit down and go over the report cards with the kids, but sometimes it was like you miss the like, oh, I did that test a month ago, and now we're getting like a result back. Now we're on this system online, which I won't like put their name out there just for sake of I don't want to broadcast one over the other, but if anybody wants to like reach out, like I will tell you where we're at and what we love about it, but it's immediate. So they do it's all online, all portal, all everything. And they'll do their, assessment, or they'll do their test or whatever. And it's immediately other than like their graded portion, like the teacher has to like look at a long paragraph or something. If it's anything they dumped into the system and then the report comes back, they get their grade pretty quickly. And then there's the observation that can, and what I've seen shift in my kids' head is they get immediate the faster the feedback, the quicker the pivot, or the quicker the adaptation. Like, Daddy, I got a 60 on this math. I'm like, well, what would help you learn this? What were you studying? Decimals. What would help you? I would love to like maybe see a video. Well, email your teacher. And so now it's the email the teacher. Can I get a video on this decimal thing? And then, oh, Daddy, she sent me this little video. It made so much sense. Or Daddy, I just got an 85. And it's like the immediacy creates a more decisive pivot. So again, it's the same in business. The faster the data, the faster the analysis, the faster the pivot. So I say all that to say this. When you're prompting AI, garbage in, garbage out. So when you give it a prompt, I believe, for me, I've learned how horrible a communicator, I think I'm great at communication. Maybe not, because when you get it back, it's like it's an immediate grade on your communication. And by the way, the World Economic Forum says by 2030, to survive, to be in business, to go get a job, if you put 120 words a minute and I'm proficient in Microsoft, like I could type this and I could proficient in Microsoft, you won't get the job. In 2030, you're going to need to know how to manage digital assistants and how to prompt AI. Mm-hmm. So, we can get into the good, bad, and ugly, and we are, and we will in future episodes. I want to wrap this one just to say, you go to a conference, you get excited about all of these things coming out. I would just ask you, absolutely be all in on tech. Remember, it can multiply you. It can multiply your competence and your consistency, so people can get in touch with your character more. And that's choose trust. So multiply it. Use the video in the intro to your prospect. Use Applaud or use Note Taker. Dump your meeting from that initial one-on-one into a Note Taker, into your AI. I built an entire prompt for sales assistant. I have an R2D2 that like rolls around with me all day long. Beep, beep, boop, boop, boop. Taking all of my everything in my head. I get it into my Note Taker, my sales assistant, so that I can follow, and even writes my email for me, and it sounds just like me. So like that's all available, and I'm all bought in on it. But why do I do it? Because it's all multiplied by the factor of trust. And so I would just say, be very careful not to jump in on something that sounds really good that can actually hurt you. And for all those who are afraid of the big companies that are selling with like AI, like we power everything with AI, challenge your customers too, right? You talked about having another phone number and setting up an AI bot let your customers know that you have those things in place, so that while you're with your family, just like they're when theirs, you still have a team working for you. You can still get an answer. And I will get back to you at these times. People respect that so long as you've communicated it well. And so I think be high tech all the way. And we'll talk about videos. We'll give some practical stuff in future episodes too. But be very mindful that you can absolutely deteriorate trust very quickly. By tech going awry, or people getting surprised by it.
Well, I'm very excited to learn from you about all those things. Like I'm dabbling, I'm getting into these things, and I'm ready to start really kind of optimizing some of these tools to to kind of captivate the promise, I think, of being able to do something maybe way faster and better at the same time, in a way that also just kind of helps protect me so that I can build the life that I want to ultimately have. I mean, that's what we're all working towards, right? Like we get into the real estate space and we're all looking for freedom. We're looking for earning potential and how we can impact the people around us. And we want to do it with some sort of autonomy. And now but we're doing it so that we can build this ideal life that we want to create. And so many of us allow for the business to take over our life. And I'm hopeful to learn how to use the tech tools to help direct my life towards what I want to create. So I think that's what we're going to do in these episodes. So that's it for today. Again, I'll make sure you check the show notes. Tim mentioned reaching out to him if you want to talk about homeschools. There'll be an email address in there. You're going to get the information that will be available for our live event on December 13th, which we hope you join us and ask questions and get involved. And it's going to be great. So another awesome episode, this one on tech. We're going to be back next week, and we're going to be talking about touch. We'll see you next time.
Can't wait.
On Trust Factor.